Blog Talk Radio.
BFF'S. It's all about the game.
And we are back. Welcome to BFF Sports. I'm your host, Dre. And I got my brother from another mother here. My boy, Mad Mike. What's good, bro?
Not much, man. No football, so I'm kind of struggling, man. Man.
Yeah, I know that's right. But before we get into it, we got another, our special guest. We got another football fanatic online with us. He's a special guest, but he's more like a brother. He's more like a brother too. He's more like a brother to me and Mike as well. We talk. As you can see, he's ready to talk in the bed, man. My boy, my big homie, Phil Scott, a.k.a. Mr. G&B. What's good, man? Welcome to the show, bro.
What's going on, man? Thank you for having me. And Mike, I hear those little side remarks you making over there. I hear that. I hear you.
Hey, man, you right now you the enemy, bro. Okay. Right now you the enemy. You already know that.
Oh.
I knew I was going to get targeted when I came on the show anyway. So I mean, it's not like I'm not ready for it.
Well, you're not gonna get one for me. You're not a target for me, bro. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good.
He's always a target with me, man. He's always a target. Everybody always the target with me. You should know that by now, man.
Of course.
I know that's right.
It's expected. But I appreciate you guys, man.
Yeah, man.
No problem, man. It's always a pleasure to have somebody on. That's we like I said, me and Mike been knowing you for years, and from our conversation we had on Facebook about from everything to wrestling to football to just just being silly or whatever, man. So I'm glad to have you, man. Glad to have you here, homie.
Appreciate it.
All right, so let's go ahead and jump into it, man. I know I was talking to Phil earlier, and he was asking me what we're going to talk about. And one of the topics I'm going to talk about, he might not be so happy about. We're going to talk about the Super Bowl. We're going to talk about the Super Bowl, man.
Why wouldn't he be happy about that? I mean, why wouldn't he be happy about it?
I don't know. I don't know.
It was a great Super Bowl, man. It was a great game, man.
Oh, it was a very great Super Bowl for me and you. It was a very great Super Bowl, but for the big homie Phil, that's his squad. That was the squad trying to get number 6. You know what I'm saying? He might be a little bit sour about that. So we'll start off with our special guest. So Phil, give us your take about the Super Bowl. How it broke down to you. Give us your take.
The Super Bowl was amazing to me. I give the Eagles all the credit in the world. They outplayed us. They outplayed New England, and not everybody can say that. They were ahead for most of the game. We didn't make that comeback. Went up, but that coaching staff, they had their guys ready. Those guys were poised as if they were there before, and they pulled it out. And my hat's off to them. Their first championship. Congratulations, Eagles. Congratulations. You guys deserved it. You beat who some teams could not beat, New England. So congratulations to you.
Oh, is that shade? Is that shade I'm hearing?
It's not
shade I'm hearing in your voice?
It's not shade.
It's not shade?
It's kind of
hey, look, let me tell you something.
It's not shade when you state obvious.
I get it, but the tone of your voice kind of changed a little bit. So I'm like, I'm just trying to check, like, I know it's on your show, but I'm like, bro, you trying to throw a little shade, talk about teams that finished? I'm like, wait a minute now,
Look, man, I will tell you this, and a lot of people may not agree with what I'm about to say, but the Falcons gave the Eagles the recipe how to beat New England. And the reason why I say that is because they pretty much had I went back and I looked at a couple of film, a couple of the touchdown highlights during the game, and the touchdown that I forgot his name. I don't know if he's a running back, but he caught the touchdown, and they say it was I thought it was an incomplete pass when he went out of bounds. The running back, Spencer, I think his name's Spencer, but it was the running back who caught the run, and that was pretty much the same kind of route that the Falcons were running, during the Super Bowl last year, and they stuck to the running game, the short passing game, and they used the running backs, and that's something that we got away from in the second half of the Super Bowl. We didn't get a ball to, they stuck with Ajayi and Blunt, and they kept running the ball, giving those short passes. They didn't give, the quarterback too much to think about. Just, hand the ball off to the running back, and get those, those short. I mean, it seemed like they took the exact same playbook, on the Falcons, and but we, on the other hand, and I blame Kyle Shanahan for it. Kyle Shanahan, he got away from what was working, and that goes back to coaching. Coaching won Philadelphia the game, and coaching lost us the game.
And that's true. That's very well true. One thing I have to add: people don't realize this. When New England goes in for the second half, they already made their adjustments before that first half ended. They already made their adjustments.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
You stick to your plan.
Right.
Either you stick to your plan, or you're going to find yourself trying to adjust to what they're trying to do that you don't know. So that's where a lot of teams get caught up trying to adjust for New England in the second half, and that's where you mess up at. You have to stick to your game plan, and that's what the Philadelphia Eagles did. They stuck to their game plan. They ran the ball. Nick Foles threw the ball exceptionally well, 28 of 43 for 373 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. That is amazing. That is great. That what more could you ask?
I mean, there's the same exact stats that Matt Ryan had against him. And like you said, if you don't, like you said before, New England already out. They already, thinking ahead. They thinking that we're in the second quarter. They thinking fourth quarter. They already know what they do. Bill Belichick knows what he's gonna do, and that's something that I said earlier. Kyle Shanahan got away from the game plan that was working, and that is what cost, us, the Falcons, the Super Bowl, and the reason why Philadelphia the champions. They stuck to their game plan. The coach came in, Peterson, he said, I'm going to be aggressive. I've been aggressive all year. I'm just going to stick to what worked for us. Why not?
Absolutely. I think it worked out. And speaking on, Phil brought up a good point with Foles. Man, what a game he had. Everybody, when Carson Wentz went down, and everybody was down the Eagles. This man came to play. Like, I don't know what he did. I don't know if he was talking to somebody or he prayed to the gods, but
he praying to God that game, boy.
He had to. He played like you said.
Outfield type of crap that he got going on, man. That's what he had going on.
That and the fact that, like Phil said, Doug Peterson and Frank Reich, who congratulations to him. He's just with the Colts. Well, we're going to talk about it in another, because that's another subject we're going to talk about in a few minutes. But those guys called a hell of a play. They called a hell of a game. They called a hell of a game that night, especially with that fourth down play with the trickery to Foles for the touchdown catch. Man, that took some guts. But when you, like you said, when you're in the Super Bowl, it happens. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you got to play. You got to play.
You see magical things happening in the Super Bowl. You see things that you would not usually see in a regular season game happen in the Super Bowl. Most teams right there, they kick the field goal and they think about the next go around. But not them. They were aggressive, and that's ultimately what led them to win the game. And one thing that people didn't realize that I saw off that, they kept our running backs at bay, whether they're in the backfield or they were getting ready to catch pass. They kept them at bay. And for Lewis, 9 carries, 39 yards, that's unheard of. Not for Deion, not for Lewis. That's unheard of. So they did a great job defensively. Their defensive schemes were amazing. The only thing I will say this, and people knock me for it. They did not stop. They stopped the other guys. They didn't stop Tom Brady. This guy threw for 505 yards in a Super Bowl with 3 touchdowns. Could have very well won MVP if they would have won. So
Absolutely.
they made the right plays at the right time, and that's what won the game. Their aggressive style of play and making the right defensive schemes. And I tip my hats off to them. Not a lot of people can say they out-coached Bill Belichick, but they out-coached the New England side throughout the game.
I'm glad you said that. I have a question for you. You're a New England fan, not like the rest of them. Know the bandwagon. They just come in and they from Atlanta, they from Chicago, they from California, from all over the world. But they they claim they've been Patriots fans all their life. But I ain't gonna get all that. So what do you think about the cornerback? What were your thoughts?
Oh, Malcolm Butler. Yeah, Malcolm Butler. Yeah.
What was the reason why you believe that he was really benched during that game?
People are going to hate me for this. Diehard Patriots fans are going to hate me for this, but I'm going to say it. I think this is Bill Belichick's ego. I think this is his ego saying,
"Whoa, wow,
man. I can win this game without you." And he almost did. So I really think that's what this is about. Because
this is true.
There was no other reason for you to bench him on the grandest stage of them all, the last football game of the year. There was no reason for you to do that other than your ego. And ultimately, as he said, this one's on me. That's exactly what he said. You're right, it's on you. Because you let your ego get in the way instead of doing what was best for the team. Don't get me wrong, Gilmore shut Jeffrey down when he got on.
Oh, yeah.
He shut him down.
That was. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but before you say that, Gilmore wasn't the problem. It was the other cornerback.
Exactly. Right. That's exactly what I'm about to say.
The other cornerback. He didn't know he was. Right. He didn't know he was starting until kickoff. He didn't even know he was a starting quarterback. That's my thing. Like Malcolm Butler's been your starter. He's been playing. He's been putting his heart into every game. And the fact that and you saw it on TV, he was crying and stuff like that. Like, I mean, I felt for him. Like, you put all this blood, sweat, and tears into it, and then you find out that right before kickoff, you're not going to play in the biggest game in NFL? Come on, man. Come on.
And keep in mind, you helped us win Super Bowl number 4.
Right, yeah. Oh, my God.
With that interception. And I just couldn't wrap my mind around it, and I was like, this is plain, simply put, this is Bill Belichick's ego getting in the way.
And which leads into another question that I have. Do you think that has anything to do with? Now, I'm on the outside looking in. I'm not a New England fan. You're a fan, so you follow your team. So you think this has anything to do with their Bill Belichick and Tom Brady's relationship? So what's being reported?
To answer this question honestly, I don't know. You can hear that. You can hear everybody say they have a bad relationship. They have one of the best relationships. But unless you're really in that locker room, you don't know. So I don't know what this is coming from, but all I know is this bogus marijuana thing that they were bringing up, that's completely bogus. It's about someone's ego in that organization. And until they check that, we're going to have things like this. Don't get me wrong. This team, even with problems, it's still hard to beat. They find a way to put it together somehow, and they almost did again, right before everybody's very eyes. So at this point, you got to kind of reevaluate right now. This team is not going to be together much longer. Brady's time is winding up. Instead of
saw that in the fourth quarter.
Put your ego to the side and make the right adjustments. If you want to keep winning and this man wants another Super Bowl, you should have swallowed your pride, packed your ego for one night. That guy should have been on the field, and I feel if he was on the field, New England would have won the Super Bowl.
They had no answer. They had no answer for Aguilar. Aguilar was just, I mean, he looked like Roddy White. He looked like Julio Jones out there. I mean, this dude had like 10 catches, 120-something yards. I mean, he's like a third receiver. He was just, he had a night of night or nights, man. And that's something that I thought, Bill Belichick, that was his biggest mistake to date for me. Now I've always, throw some little shade here and now to the Patriots, but I've always said that Bill Belichick's probably one of the, greatest defensive minds that have ever been in the NFL in history as far as coaches, because he always seems to find that one player. He always seems to find, from year to year, it's the defense. It's not a very athletic, exciting team, but they just get the job done, and that's something that you got to give Bill Belichick his credit. And the Super Bowl, I think that was the only time that I've seen in Bill Belichick that his ego get the best of him. I don't know what he was trying to do or what the problem is, but the first time I've seen that from a New England team, let their ego get the best of them.
And that is very well true. It really was, and it cost them. It cost them the game. His ego cost them the game, because I think if you make those adjustments and you put Butler on Aguilar and you keep Stephon Gilmore on Jeffrey, there is no one else he really threw to.
Right?
Who did he really throw to?
Exactly.
I think that's what people are forgetting. Who did he really throw to? So when you do that, you just opened up a whole can of what the hell. Because you tell someone the day of the big game, you're starting, you're not playing.
That's
what is that?
Not even the day of. It was seconds before. It was seconds before the kick.
Literally before kickoff. Literally before kickoff.
The day, like, what do you do? Excuse me for saying the day of, but why? What could have caused you to? What did you see on the floor that we didn't see? Excuse me, on the field that we didn't see? Because I saw someone who's proven themselves time in and time out versus somebody that I barely saw all the season. So what were you trying to prove? What was it? And like I said, it was the ego. Exactly. It was plainly ego, and the ego cost us the game. Egos cost Tom Brady a 6th championship and possibly another MVP to go with that. And if he would have pulled this off, you're talking about somebody who just broke the record for yards, won MVP the night before, and wins MVP the Super Bowl. Really? And another championship. Like, what else? You cost him that.
Can't argue with that. Can't argue with that, man. Can't argue with that at all, man. Mike want to argue. Mike want to argue because Tom Brady is his enemy. He's a Peyton Manning fan. He loves Peyton Manning, so he might argue that,
man. Look, let me set this straight. All right, let me say this, man. All right, I can't say that Tom Brady is the greatest of all time for one reason alone. And it has nothing to do with him, his comebacks and all this type of things. I've seen Joe Montana. I've seen Peyton Manning. I've seen Tom Brady. I've seen Aaron Rodgers. And the reason why I say that I can't say that Tom Brady is the greatest of all times is because of the way things are being called in this NFL versus the 80s, the 90s NFL. The defensive rules, even just with the cornerbacks and wide receivers, they're completely different. You're not allowed to touch these receivers. Tom Brady can, you get these little quick receivers like, Edelman, and what they had, Wes Welker, you can't catch these little guys. You can't do anything to these guys. Within 5 yards, that's 5 easy yards for Tom Brady. So they just dink and dunk, and the cornerbacks, they can't touch them. That's the reason why I can't say that, because it's easy picking. This is a lot easier game for quarterbacks than it is, even back then. It's not. You can't touch these guys. That's the reason why I can't say Tom Brady. It's not because, I'm just hating on everybody, everybody loves Tom Brady. He's a great quarterback. I never say he's not a great quarterback. It's just the way the rules are now versus then. I can't say that he is. Definitely top three. Definitely top three. Definitely.
Now, I hear what you're saying, but you're saying that you can't say he's the greatest of all time because of how the game is played today. That's not his fault. That's not his fault. That's none of these guys' fault.
I mean, it is his fault, man. He always crying, all that crying. He touched my knees. He touched my knees.
There is so much more that goes into it. You can't just say it's him. You can't just say it's just one specific player. I saw this growing up of how things are being called year in and year out. Until I got older and I was like, okay, this is going to be almost like a tic-tac lead after a while. Like, you can't touch anyone. I saw this coming up. So as time progresses, things are handled a little bit differently. And it's the same way in the NBA. Things are differently now. Things are not going to be called the same. Some of it for health reasons. I get that. You want the longevity of your players. You don't want one freak accident, one missed tackle, one missed, takedown to end someone's career. You don't want that. That's money being lost. So I get it. I get that. But I can't sit here and say, because they call it differently, I can't call this man the greatest of all time. Granted, I am a Patriots fan. Granted, I always says that if I had to start a franchise, it would be Aaron Rodgers instead of Tom Brady. But when you look at resumes, there's not a lot of people who have the resume this guy has. Year in, year out, Tom Brady somehow, the Patriots somehow are going to be there in the end. And there's no doubt in that. There's no dispute in that.
That is a fact. That is a fact. That's fact. That's fact. Come on, Mike. We talked about it. Remember, we talked about it before, Mike. You know how weak the AFC is right now. It's either New England or Pittsburgh.
That's exactly what I was about to say. I'm just letting you get in it first. I'm letting you get in it first. That's exactly what I was about to say. That's another reason. I mean, it's not just one reason.
My thing is this. Is it the Patriots' fault that the AFC East is weak, or it's not their fault that the AFC East? It's not like the NFC. We talked about this. The NFC is very competitive. You got teams like Atlanta, New Orleans, Philadelphia, Seattle, Arizona. You got these teams that they fight each other, and then you got, just like with the Eastern Conference with the Cavaliers, it's like, either Tom Brady or Ben Roethlisberger just gonna have a cakewalk to the Super Bowl. So is it really the Patriots' fault, or is it the NFL's fault because
it's definitely NFL's fault? It's definitely NFL's fault. It's because another thing too is it's always about scheduling. It just baffles me how teams that like the Atlanta Falcons, we can go 7-7, 6-10, and we end up with the hardest schedule in the NFL. And Tom Brady and not just Tom Brady. I don't just want to sound like I'm picking on him. I mean,
yes, you are. You
these guys have one of the easiest schedules. They have one of the easiest schedules every year. Every year is the same easy schedule.
You can keep saying it, but that man got 5 reasons why he don't care. You pick on him. 5. So you can go ahead and do all the picking you want.
This is true.
You got 5 reasons why he don't care. But I get what you're saying. I do look at the scheduling sometimes. And it does baffle me sometimes how some of the lower-ranked teams in the NFL have such a
hard
difficult schedule. And I'm just like, they'll never make the playoffs like this.
Exactly.
They will never make the playoffs like this. And I think that I think the NFL should switch it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Instead of you playing your conferences multiple times, let's bring that back a little bit. Mm-hmm. Let's stop playing the other side. Let's play the NFC multiple times. So you can let's do it like that. Do something a little different because, like I told people, you have people flat out for the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted New England to lose. Why? Because they're always there. They feel like someone else has to dethrone them. So when I look at it, I'm like, okay, let's do scheduling differently. We can do scheduling differently. Look at what you have. Look at who you have. who's going to give you a great game. Let's start pairing these guys up. Or, hey, let's switch up the playoff format. How about that? How about we take the top team from the AFC and let them play the lowest to the NFC? And the top in the NFC play the lowest in the AFC.
Just something different. Exactly.
Wait a minute. Phil. You making too much sense right now. You know the NFL ain't gonna do that. You making too much sense right now, man.
Hey man, see,
he's right. He's right. That's what I mean. Because think about it, the NFL makes a big deal about scheduling, and then every time the Patriots schedule come out, this is what happens. They'll play the Broncos because when Peyton Manning was there, they got paired Brady versus Manning, part 8 million. They got to play a couple Monday night games. Right, but it's not Tom Brady's fault, but that's what the NFL does. They always put him against a prime time against a team that has this up-and-coming quarterback like Dak Prescott or Aaron Rodgers. Well, Aaron Rodgers is not up-and-coming, but like Dak Prescott or whatever. Or they put him in a matchup with a Super Bowl rematch, which he did with the Falcons, and he did with Seattle the year before.
One storyline.
Right, exactly. It always does that. So, and then after that, it's like, they go to the AFC East, run shop in the AFC East, beat a couple teams, like Pittsburgh, and then, next thing you know, they're the number one seed in the AFC.
Again,
right?
Again. And that's why I say I don't want to make it seem like that it's Tom Brady that I'm picking on. When I say Tom Brady, when I speak Tom Brady, it's like the NFL love Tom Brady. It's the system behind Tom Brady what I'm speaking of. They are so worried about making money and creating a Michael Jordan of the NFL. Just let the players do that.
Mike. I told you we're not going to compare Tom Brady to Michael Jordan on this radio show, okay? We're not going to do that.
Hey, man, look,
we're not going to do that.
As much as I would love it, I would love to, you can't. You just can't. Those are two different sports. You're talking about two different people. But you have to respect this. They have the mindset of winners. They have the game plan to win. They have all the success in the world. They have every tool you could wish for in a player to succeed with the team. They do have those in common. But when it came down to it, as much as I love Tom Brady,
yes, sir,
Jordan was killer in every finals he was in.
Absolutely.
Brady, on the other hand, as much as it pains me to say it, Eli beat you twice.
Yeah.
And he lost to a backup. And he lost to a backup quarterback.
Nick Foles. So if you look at it, let's say it this way. If let's say Tom Brady never lost the Super Bowl, this man got 8 championships under his belt. 8. 8. So am I then inclined to say, oh, well, he has 8 championships. He's better than Jordan. He surpassed Jordan. You still can't say that. These are two different sports, two different things that we're looking at. And I hate when people try to compare the two. You can't compare the two. You can't. There is no 3-point basket in football that help you come back from a damn deficit that's just too deep. There's no easy out for that. If there was, things would be a little different. Okay, there is none of that. You cannot compare the two. There is no comparison in the two.
True.
So I can't compare one player to this player. I can say this: they are the best at what they did in their respective brands, and that's all you can say.
I agree with
that.
I don't mean to cut it off because it was getting kind of heated because we was all having our opinions. But I want to move on to another. Former Patriot, Jimmy Garoppolo, $138 million, bro. $74 million guaranteed.
Let me, man. I gotta speak on this first.
I just want to say Mike, I'm gonna let you have it, but I'm just saying, what do I need to do? I need to start throwing a football or something. I need to throw a football. $138 million, bro. I'm just saying, like, man, let me go. I'm just gonna start warming up my arm. Like the dude in Cam Newton, like in Cam Newton commercial, the kid was warming up his arm.
Hey, I was man. Hey,
give me
man, I was a quarterback a little look. A little right. Ball,
so,
man.
So give me y'all take on what happened, man. So is it justified that he got that much, or is it the 49ers are banking on what he can do in the future? Mike.
Hell no. Hell no. Hell no. Hell no. Hell no.
Go ahead, Mike is on you, man. You got the floor, bro. Go ahead.
Man, hell no, man. And see, this is what we was talking about, Dre, with Aaron Donald this year. Aaron Donald played his ass off for 2 years, man. He played his ass off for 2 years, and he couldn't get the honor to even listen to him to get a new contract. And you just get Jimmy Garoppolo, who's had not. And I'm not saying the guy's not talented. I'm not saying he may not be a great star in the league, but this guy hadn't even played a full season, and you throw $100-something million at this guy. These guys out here, like Rob Gronkowski. These guys here putting their body on the line year after year, after year, struggling to get a contract. They even get heard. Bill Belichick, these guys like Bill Belichick, they'll cut you. You have one knee injury, they'll cut you just like that. And you tell me this guy who ain't played a full year get $100 million? Man, come on, get the hell out of here, man. That pisses me off so much, and it's not like I don't want to see these guys. I don't like to count people money. I don't like to say, guy, go out and get your money, man. But don't tell me that a guy like Aaron Donald, these boys out here balling their ass off. He can't even get these GMs and these owners to even listen to them, and then they get one injury, they done. And you just throwing money around like that? No, man, come on.
Phil? What's your thoughts on this whole contract situation with Jimmy Garoppolo? I know he was the backup to be the heir apparent to Tom Brady when he retires, but Tom Brady says he's gonna play at least till he's 60 years old. So, what are your thoughts on the whole situation?
As much as I loved Jimmy Garoppolo, because I really thought he was going to be the heir to the New England dynasty. He was going to be handed the key. He does not deserve that much money in that contract. And here's why. Mike said it best. You have not thrown a football an entire 16-game season. You just came off the bench from backing up one of the greatest, if not the greatest, quarterback of all time. Just because you backed up this guy does not mean you're going to play like this guy. Does not mean you had a chance to pick his brain, that you're going to translate it just like this guy did. So for me to see him get that big of a contract, first thing I thought about was, that's $137 million. No, how about you spread that money around and find you some more damn players?
Exactly, bro.
That's
true.
Let's think here. You could have gotten Jimmy Garoppolo to sign back very cheaply. Instead, you go and make this. I think he's now the highest paid quarterback.
Yes.
He's a highest paid player. He's the highest paid player, period.
How?
Man, making like $42 million in 1 year, right?
How? And I think $72 million is guaranteed. How?
Guaranteed.
Wow. I'm not saying that's a waste of money, because this man could very well be the face of your franchise. He could very well be the one to lift you past everything that you've been through, anything that has been deemed negative about your organization. He could be the one to say, hey, it's a new era. We're going to do this. I'm here. He could very well be that guy. Very well. But to have that kind of contract and you have not played a full season baffles me.
Absurd.
Don't get me wrong. When he started, he made the plays. And you look at it, you was like, hey, this guy's been under Brady. I see some things Tom Brady did there. Yes. But it was not for a full season, and you weren't playing for anything. You were way out of playoff contention. You couldn't even spell playoffs with the record y'all had. And the thing about it was you played what I like to call garbage football. The last few games of the season,
yes, sir.
Kind of doesn't matter for a team. Either you're in or you're not. Kind of doesn't matter when you're on the outside looking in. That's what you played. And you didn't play against teams who really had anything to lose. Let's just be honest if you look at it. So let's
Bill breaking it down. I might have you and Mike take over the show next week. I'm taking a break. I'm just listening, taking notes.
Hey, man, you already know if he'll know what he's talking about. We do this all the time, man.
Exactly. And he a Patriots fan, which makes it even better because even though he's a Patriots fan, he's not biased. So I'm listening, bro. Continue, man. Continue.
I'm really looking at some. I had to go back and look at some of the stats myself. Okay, so he played Tennessee, and he went for 138 for a touchdown. Right? That was 2000. That was 2017. No, that was not Christmas. The Jacksonville game before Christmas. He did what? 242, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Okay, that's Christmas Eve. And then against the Rams, 292, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. If I'm not mistaken, all those 3 teams had already been sealed for playoff contention. Whether they won or not, their standings weren't going to go up. That was garbage football to me. And in that time, you still went 7-5. 7 touchdowns, 5 interceptions.
Man.
So
with
me, and I'm missing another game because he threw 2 more interceptions in another game. So with me, I'm like, that's garbage football, man. That's garbage football. That's garbage time football.
Man, Phil, you want to be the host of the show next week, man? I mean, hey, you doing better? I'm like, he broke it all the way down. I'm trying to tell you.
Hey,
like,
man,
bro,
you already know it, man. You got the floor. You got the floor, man.
Everything, man. Everything. But, I mean, Phil, you hit it right on the head, man. I mean, but at the same time, I'm going to say it like this. At the same time, you got to look at the market. You got to look at the quarterback market right now. It's very slim pickings out there. Like, you won't find a great quarterback out there because, I mean, look at Cleveland. They've been struggling for a quarterback since they came back in 1999. They've been struggling. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, New England got Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, Atlanta with Matt Ryan. You know what I'm saying? Even Stafford in Detroit, even though he has his on and off days, he still produces. So maybe the Niners just want to be like, hey, I'd rather just pay this money now than to let him, release him. And then he goes somewhere else and balls out. So I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
But haven't we seen this before from certain players?
Yeah, I was about to say that. That's exactly what I was about to say.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're right.
Even what's his name? The guy who left you guys for Kansas City. The quarterback left. He was playing well.
Castle.
Matt Castle. He left. He was balling out. They said he was the next, Tom Brady, and that's a great quarterback. He went to KC. I mean, he was nothing. You can look at, a number of quarterbacks, man. This is nothing new.
We're not even.
So is it the quarterback? Is it the quarterback situation in New England, or is the fact that Bill Belichick has a perfect game plan that any quarterback can succeed?
Sometimes it is the system. Let me tell you why. And I'm gonna go outside of quarterback.
Hey Phil, let me get a notepad or something. Let me write this down so I can argue with Patriots fans when they talk about this.
Everyone remembers Wes Welker, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I said that earlier. That's exactly what I said earlier.
Where is Welker now?
He's retired, probably. I think he retired. He was with them. He retired.
He's done, right? My thing was this. Sometimes I really think that system is predicated on for you to succeed. Even if you have the most, I think Nick Foles could have came to New England and at least done decent enough. to get them into the playoffs because I think it's the system. I think it's a system that they do have set up. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think it's a system Tom Brady can't play in where he won't be successful. This guy can flat out ball.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Matt Ryan, Aaron Rodgers, all those guys. They don't need a system. They are the system. So it's different. But when I look at it from a perspective, I'm like, well, Wes Welker was so damn good with New England. Hell, some people thought he might have won MVP that year. He just had a phenomenal season. And then you get to the Super Bowl and you choke. You miss the biggest catch, a catchable ball at that, right to you. You let it go through your hand. You leave. You go to the Broncos. You still don't win a championship with the Broncos because what happened? We win the championship once we win the championship.
He just forgot how to catch when he got the Broncos. He forgot how to catch when he got to Denver.
Let's be very clear. That's very clear.
All right, man. All right, we go keep. Go ahead, Phil. Go ahead, Phil. I didn't mean to cut you off. I know you was going on a tangent. So
don't get me wrong. He was a phenomenal player. But I tell people all the time, a system can make you look wonderful. A system can make you look like you're the most
not lying about that, man.
Player.
You ain't lying about that.
So let's not give all the credit to these superstars here. You have some damn good coaches in these leagues that know what they are doing. So we can't just give all the players all the credit as if, it's on their backs alone. Some of these coaches know what the hell they're doing.
Brett Favre is a perfect example of that. He was absolute trash in Atlanta. Okay, this guy was throwing. I mean,
he was drinking too much. He was drinking too much. Come on now, he was drinking too much. That too, and we didn't give him a chance. You know the history, and you know. Well, Glenn, if you know the story, I watched it on NFL Network. If you knew the story on NFL Network, Jerry Glanville didn't even want him there.
No.
So I'm like this. If you don't want me on the team, I'll go somewhere else and ball out.
And he went to Green Bay and became one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.